Welcome back to the garden here in Minnesota. October marks the final tour of the season. Come walk with me through what's left standing. Now, we did see 26 degrees Fahrenheit, which is below freezing. We took out the cucumbers, the tomatoes, the peppers, the marigolds. You'll see what they look like. The frost hit them. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling all of the foliage off the trellises, the cattle panels. And it's interesting to see what's still okay in this space. So the calendula looks like it's still going to be growing. We have a few cabbages and Napa cabbage that have life in them. I'm going to start taking the cattle panels down and the T-posts out so I can rework the garden for next year. Now in the wintertime, I love to sit and plan and think. Winter is very long here in Minnesota, so I have plenty of time to go, okay, how are we doing our rotation? What do I want to do differently in this space? And we actually have a problem we might have to figure out, and I'll show that soon here. I have a big plan to order a bunch of perennials next spring when it's a good time to be planting perennials for our zone 5A. But here you can see the wall of marigolds has fallen, and lo and behold, I have a situation. You see how there's this dirt all fluffed up, all dug up? There's a pocket gopher. So there's one of the tunnels, and there's things I can do about this. I can wait till next season in the spring and see if he or she is still there, because they might have moved on, or I can do trapping in the tunnel and removal. Now, if you have experience with pocket gophers, please help me out here in the comment section. What do I do? I did a live stream about your fall garden checklist. What are some things that you could be doing for your garden and for yourself? So check that out on the replay. We do have our fall garden flag available on the merch store, so check that out in the description. Here is that Jack and the Beanstalk sword bean that never made it to full production. I wanted the beans to be able to harvest them to plant again. Here is the wildflower patch. That was the new one. And then the watermelon patch. So what we did was we just mowed it down. Now here, I did have watermelons that made it, but they didn't taste very good. So I need tricks on how to make watermelon taste good. And this is where I did the cover crop, like the ground cover planting of clover. Here is the West Food Forest Island. So everything that was annual has been taken out, and all that's left are perennials. Now, some of it I understand what it is, like borage. That was new this year. That was fun to watch that grow. It's supposed to be a perennial as far as I know. But then there's plants that I put a bunch of seeds in the ground, and what is that? Does anybody recognize the leaf? It never flowered if I remember right. And then I have this one. I don't really know what that is either. And so maybe next year I'll get a flower and we'll figure it out together. The comfrey is fantastic. I'm really excited to split up these crowns and divide them like next spring. And then the chives, we have chives that have gone to seed, and so we'll see if I'm gonna be happy or frustrated with the amount of chives popping up everywhere from all of these self-seeding themselves. And like every garden tour, when we come across a fuzzy leaf, we have to touch it. This is mullein. Fall is a great time to be planting our bulbs that bloom in the spring. So we took a bunch of the zinnias out of the memorial butterfly garden and any perennials that had not made it, because that did happen, and we actually bombed it with a bunch of tulips and daffodils. So the space looks weird now. It looks completely bare, but I have big plans for adding some perennials next season. We took out our gladiolas because they have to be removed from the ground or they'll freeze and rot just like a dahlia would. But here you can see what perennials still survived. Now, having a messy garden in the fall is really good for wildlife to come and eat the seeds and to have shelter in woody stems. So you don't have to clean everything up. You should really leave it all because things are going to be surviving throughout the winter in these plants. So we used to get snow by Halloween, but the forecast does not have snow in it. I'm thinking November we'll see snow and December at the latest. And I'm not gonna complain. I'm fine with getting snow in December, January, February, and then be done with it by then. But I need some snow to help protect our perennials so we get that nice blanket coverage. Here is the East Food Island. Look how different this one looks compared to the West. There's so much green in here. This is all the asparagus and strawberries, has fruit trees, has bushes like blueberries and honeyberries, the comfrey plants, the Egyptian walking onions. There's a bunch of herbs that I started planting here this season. So we've got parsley, the sage, there's thyme. I even planted this type of mint, pineapple mint, I think it's called, which wasn't my top choice. And I have oregano in there too. And again, the wonderful comfrey. Now, the Egyptian walking onions have formed their, see that right there? Yeah, that cluster, and they fall into the ground. So then I can take each one of those apart and replant them, which I did in some places. And then I left these ones in the ground just to keep going. This is the raspberries. Now let me know in the comments below if you do anything to your raspberries in the fall. And I also want to know if you grow indoors in the winter, because that's going to be something you'll see here on the channel. Now this is the Mexican sunflowers that the frost hit. I'm not sure what to do, if I should knock them down to the ground or just leave them upright in the snow. It has these pokey, dangerous seed pod heads on them, which I'm sure some wildlife would enjoy. And then here's the zinnias, what they looked like after the frost came. This is the rain garden. So the irises will stay, and whatever this is either millet or sorghum, isn't it? It came out of the birdseed mix, I think. But now it makes me want to grow it intentionally next year and figure it out on how to use it in my kitchen. So this is that part where it's the strawberry patch and then the annual garden that's mostly shade. So the popcorn failure would have been this garden. And I did not plant the cover crop 4 weeks before frost. I just tossed it in at the last second. So that's not going to have enough time to germinate and grow. But we do have a wonderful fall garden. Here you're seeing all of the turnips, which can be just a cover crop and we can harvest from it as we like. We also have wonderful rows of Swiss chard, three different kinds. The carrots look really good. There's a line of kale. It's the lacinato kale, that dinosaur kale. And I did plant radish, which we had crazy high temps after I planted them. So some did bolt. I did a mix. And the daikon radish can be just a cover crop for the fall. The cabbages got so attacked by the cabbage moth caterpillar. The beets are actually forming beets, which is great because I transplanted these versus direct sowing. So the cabbages don't have full heads on them, which makes me think I'm not going to get a full head. And that's kohlrabi and some bunching onions. So this was the best fall garden I've ever had as far as what it looks like, the variety that's in there. I timed it all really well. I just need to work on keeping the pests out, and probably fertilizing is another goal I have next year. I am going to do a live stream where I talk about my reflections for 2025, so make sure you are subscribed to get notified when we do that show. Now here, I want to show you the soil. When you're looking at soil, you should look for dark, crumbly, rich in smell. Look for earthworms, look for roots, look for signs of life. When you see a lot of cracking or crusting on top, that's a clue to add compost, mulch, cover crops. Sand is something we have to add here in our clay, thick soil. Like this is making like clumpy, hard rocks. It's not what I think it should be. So I need to do possibly living pathways and heavy mulching just to get some more organic matter in next year, and really practice my cover crop timing, because I think that would have been super beneficial for our carrots beds for sure. This was the planting that I did in spring. So the fall carrots are still in the ground, the ones that you just saw. These are the ones that I planted spring, summertime, and I just left them because I wanted them to have the kiss of frost, because those sugars are so good in a carrot after frost, and I'm storing them in my refrigerator for all the lovely carrot things. I love carrots so much. But I need to work on spacing. All right, the leaves are starting to fall so we can cover the gardens for the winter. Like I said, I'm taking the cattle paddles down and just throwing them on the leaves, and I did end up taking the T-posts out and storing them in the shed. That's just one of the tasks that we're doing. And again, look at the fall garden. Let's keep the conversation going. I have live streams on seed saving basics with Robin Gardens, the longer shelf life, how to get your crops to last longer on the shelf, and how to remedy contaminated soil. See you there.